Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a very special video. The Cyberstrike structure deck just got released today, and we're going to be building a £30 or $30 euro, wherever you're from, a budget deck using 3 of these structure decks, building a modern day Cyberdragon / Cyberdark deck that compete at tournaments, and you can have a little bit of fun with your friends as well if you're not playing looking to play competitively. So yeah, budget deck. However, I'm surprised by how good this deck is. So we're gonna get straight into it. Before we start, if you guys want to check out my socials below, I'm doing streams every other day on Twitch, along with content on my Instagram and Twitter. So I really appreciate if you could check out the links below. And without further ado, we're gonna get straight into the deck profile. So complete budget using cards only in the structure deck. We're going to start things off with our Cyberdragon engine. Okay, so these are the monsters we're playing. We're playing the 3 Cyberdragon, and this card is a generic special summon going second. And it's important that we play these cards specifically because we can load up our graveyard to summon the boss Cyberdragon monsters or the Cyberdark monsters. So core, if you don't know what core does, I will do a little close-up view. So basically when it's normal summoned, you can add any cyber spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So this searches trap cards, we'll get onto a little bit later in the video, as well as spell cards, so your fusion cards as well. So this card's amazing. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon Cyberdragon from your deck, and it always counts as a Cyberdragon, which is super important as well. So I think core is a must-have. It's super cool to get a mix of these sort of engines, splash them into one. We also play hers, so in my opinion you don't need to play hers. However, it's good to load up in the graveyard. So same as core, it always acts as a Cyberdragon while on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is special summoned, you can make it level 5. So this doesn't really matter because we are not playing XYZs, we're playing purely what's in the structure decks. So you only get fusions, but if you want to upgrade your collection or your deck in the future, this card's a must-have at 3. And then its last effect is, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add one other Cyberdragon monster from your deck to your hand. So that's important because you can sort of set up plays with the spell cards, the new ones, and then add like a Nasta, and then go off even further. So yeah, this engine is, in my opinion, super necessary. And we'll get straight on to the next part of the engine, which is the Cyberdark stuff, the new stuff. So we're playing the Cyberdark Chimera, as well as the Cyberdark Claw. So only these two Cyberdark monsters. I do have a shout out, in fact, a honorable mention of the horn, the keel, the edge, and the cannons. I didn't think these guys were modern enough, as well as the Cyberdark Dragon, to play in the deck. I just didn't think it was up to date, modern, good enough to really make space for it in the deck. So we're only going to be playing what I feel like is good and compete in the moment. So Cyberdark Chimera, this is the brand new one. So this card's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you guys read this. So you can discard one spell or trap cards and add one power bond from your deck to your hand, which is crazy. Makes this deck like super consistent, super good. Power bond is a fantastic card to like OTK in, but we'll get onto that in a minute. Also, if this card's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one Cyberdark monster from your deck. You basically send it from the deck to the graveyard, which allows you to load up your graveyard, but it must have a different name to one that's already in there. So essentially this card is the playmaker for your Cyberdark plays, and it loads up the graveyard as well, which allows you to make even more fusion plays. Claw, I like Claw. I think this is quite a good card. So basically it has the equip effect, which isn't really necessary. However, you can discard this card to add one Cyberdark spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, which is super necessary with the new support. So yeah, I really like Claw, and it discards from hand, so it loads up your graveyard, which is super important, which we'll get into in a bit. So that is it for the main monsters. However, I've added one more monster in for utility. That is Gizmek Orochi. So if you guys are not familiar with this card, it was super popular in Orcus format, and it is a dark machine, so it does have some synergy with the deck. However, it does give you a generic grind game, which I'll get into in a minute. So basically, if this card's in your hand or the graveyard, quick effects. So you do it on your opponent's turn, banish 8 cards from the top of your deck, face down, and special summon this card. Also, you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck, face down, target one monster in the field and destroy it. You can only use one effect per turn. So essentially this card is like an infinite grind in your graveyard, keep special summoning it back out. Obviously it is costly to pay the top 8 cards of your deck to banish. However, if you get rid of all your resource first, set up a load of resource in your grave, banished, you can use this card without really thinking twice about using its effect because you've already got that resource in play. Also, it gives you sort of a spot removal for the second effect. And yeah, super good card. I thought I'd add it in because it does give you an inherent grind game. So super good card. Glad they included it. So for the spell cards, we play 3 of the Cyberdark Realm and only 2 of the Cybernetic Horizon. So I'm going to explain my reasoning for this. So Realm is fantastic. We have to play 3 of this. Basically what it does, when it's activated, you can add any Cyberdark monster from your deck to your hand with a different name that's one already in the graveyard. And then during your main phase, immediately after this card resolves, you get to normal summon a Cyberdark monster. So you can basically normal summon the card you just added. And then it has a equip effect, but it isn't really necessary. Basically, this card is 3 of your Chimera, which is super good. We played 2 of the Cybernetic Horizon, and I think playing 3 of this is a bit bricky. It is a power card, it is a neg, so I didn't want to like brick on this and then or have us open 2 or 3 and not be able to use it, because that would suck. So basically what it does though, it's always treated as a Cyberdark card, which is searchable off the claw, and then you can send 2 dragon / and or machine cyber monsters with different attributes to the graveyard, and then 1 from your hand or deck to the graveyard as well, and then add 1 dragon or cyber monster from your deck to your hand, and then you get to send 1 cyber fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. So it is quite a mouthful, but quite a huge effect there. A lot of things going on, a lot of you have to know the commas and stuff, the cost. So it is quite a tricky card to get your head around. But basically it allows you to load up the graveyard ready for your fusion plays. So however, it is a neg, and I didn't want to brick on having 3 or 2 in hand. So I think having the 2 is fine, plus it's searchable. So that worked out fine for me when doing the theory behind the deck as well. And then last but not least, well, I say last but not least, we play a couple of more search cards. So this is not the last of the spell cards, we'll get into the last in a minute, but these ones are super important. So the Cyberdark, the Cyber Emergency allows you to search for basically any like machine monster. It cannot be normal summoned, or basically any Cyber Dragon. So it allows you to search for Nasta, Core, Hers, a load of all the utility cards in your main deck. So yeah, super good to have this card at 3, and then we have the fusion deployment. So a lot of people are missing this out of their deck profiles. I'm not too sure why. I think it's a fantastic extender, especially for the budget version, which I'll get into in a minute. So basically, you can reveal 1 fusion monster from your extra deck and special summon it from your hand or deck. So basically, you can special summon like a Cyberdark Chimera or a Cyber Dragon. You're locked into fusion cards, but it's a cracking extender for the deck. So I thought I'd max out on all of it because it allows you to push for combos, fusion plays. So yeah, really good cards. And then for the fusions, we play the 1 Power Bomb because it's searchable, 2 Overload Fusion, and a 2 Cyberload Fusion, because we don't play obviously Anaconda because this is a budget version. 1 of the Power Bomb because it is searchable, 2 of the Overload Fusion because it's super easy to load up the graveyard. I didn't want to play 1 because it's good to have more. And then the Overload Fusion. I didn't want to play 1 of this either because I feel like it gives you a really good grind game because we play the trap cards, which I got to in a minute. This allows us to recycle our engine as well as get into our fusions. So it's super important to play these. I think the 5 is fine. You could probably mess around with it, but I think the 1 Power Bomb is absolutely necessary. You could probably play 2, but I think 1's absolutely fine with it being searchable now. So that is it for the spell cards, and then for the trap cards to wrap up the 40 card deck. Also as well, I didn't mention, we're going to try and go through a side deck here. So if you guys are stuck around, feel free to like the video, subscribe. We do loads of more content on the channel, as well as on my Twitch and Instagram. So we're going to get into the side deck here after the trap cards. So we play the Overflow and the Impermanence. Thank you, Konami, for giving us such an accessible card. It's fantastic to have more of these in circulation because it is such an impactful card. So yeah, this card's broken, so it pretty much is Cyber Dragon. So you can banish any Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face up in the field or graveyard, and then destroy equal number of monsters or cards, on the field. If this card in the field is destroyed by card effect, you get to add any Cyber spell trap card. Okay, I didn't even know it had the second effect. All I know is good at blowing at the board. And basically, with Synergy, you can banish your resource in the grave and then shuffle it back in with the Cyberload Fusion. So this is the Synergy that I wanted. Really consistent 40 card deck that can do some crazy damage with the extra deck. So I'm not going to go through, obviously we should be playing 3 of these. Also as well, I'd note that you should be playing 3 of these as well, although you can't summon it, purely because of the Orochi effect. So 3 of these, you can banish them and then use the Gizmex effect. So yeah, we should be playing 3 of all these. Obviously, we don't need all 3 of them. However, we'll get into them now. So the Chimera Tech Overlord Dragon. So this card's nuts. So basically, 1 fusion, 1 Cyber Dragon, and 1 machine monster. So you can use basically like, it's crazy, like basically the whole deck to summon it. So if this card's fusion summon, send all cards you control to the graveyard. The original attack becomes equal to it gains the attack basically, and then it can OTK like crazy because this card can attack your opponent's monsters like up to the number of fusion materials is used. So it's, yeah, really good to OTK. And then we play the Cyberdark End Dragon, which card's nuts. So it must be either fusion summoned or special summoned by attributing 1 level 10 or lower Cyberdark fusion monster equipped into a Cyber End Dragon. But you don't really need to do that because the cards you can play to ignore the summoning conditions. It's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, you can equip 1 monster from either graveyard to this card. This card can attack up to the times equal to the number of equipped cards to it. So it's a boss monster that can just crash into everything. Of course, Cyber End Dragon. So it basically does piercing, but it is pretty beefy and it looks awesome as an ultra rare. Definitely have a few of these in my binder. And then last but not least, we play the Cyber Darkness Dragon. So it must be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can equip 1 dragon machine monster from your graveyard to this card. It gains attack equal to the original attack of the monster equipped into it. When your opponent activates card effect, you can send 1 equipped monster you control to the graveyard and negate the activation and destroy it. So good control card, super good fusion. And that is the deck. So, last but not least, the side deck, which we get to squeeze in at the end. It isn't much, but if you're playing budget and you just started playing the game, these cards are fantastic to have indeed. So that is the deck. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see more content, leave me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.